Morning, Piggy.
Happy Thanksgiving! This is Wednesday, but y'all be saying this on Thursday morning, so happy Thanksgiving.
Turkey Day. Yep.
Turkey, turkey, gobble, gobble. And, talking about giving thanks. That's what Thanksgiving is about. I'll tell y'all a little story. I was 18 years old. I had a 76 Pinto. Them things came stock with a 1600cc, one barrel, automatic, limited slip rear end. Mine weren't like that. Mine was built for racing. It was 2300cc, two barrel, four on the floor, posture track rear end, and that sucker would flat out fly. It don't exist anymore. Had it for a while. I was working a mill job. Had me a little girlfriend. I was up too late. And so I'd just come out of school. She was still in school. So, I'd be working third shift and I'd be getting up and take her to school and pick her up from school. And I weren't sleeping. And one night, it was a Saturday night, I took and shouldn't have tried to drive, but I was at her house and I needed to go home and everything. Keep things looking above board. And I didn't make it home, at least not right away. Bunch of curvy roads. I always kept my foot fully on the gas pedal. Yep, I fell asleep at the wheel. My foot went down on that gas pedal. That little Pinto, I've outrun Porsches in it. No, you say? Oh yeah, I did. 5 of them on the freeway going to Dalton. They was blocking the freeway up. There wasn't but 2 lanes at that time. I took half a shoulder and got around the first couple of them, got around the next ones, and got up to that first one. And he saw me. He's geared down to gear it back up. Try to get some extra emphasis on his. And he was looking at his window to his left as I went by him, and he was slack-jawed. He couldn't believe it was somebody in a Pinto blowing his doors off. Boy, that sun's bright. So anyway, I tried to drive home that night, curvy roads. I fell asleep at the wheel. And I had a power pole. I hit that power pole so hard they had it replaced the following Monday before lunch. If that tells y'all anything. Yeah, I messed it up because I hit it twice. Reason being, it was up on an embankment. So when I fell asleep at the wheel, car verged over and it crawled right up that hill and it hit that power pole almost midway. Bounced off and then hit it coming in straight. I was supposed to be between hitting the power pole when it hit the second time. Because when I hit, evidently I was grabbing the steering wheel so hard that the steering wheel was almost touching my door over here on the driver's side. And I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Well, I got out the car. Oh, I got out the car? Yeah, I got out the car. Now, it gets better, folks. Well, I hitched a ride back in the rest of the way into town, which wasn't even a mile away, at a local store, and got on the phone and called the folks and let them know what happened, and they was on their way and called the girlfriend. Well, I was gonna ask you to stay so you could sleep because you was so tired, but I didn't think you'd listen to me. And I was like, told her, I said, you should have asked. And so anyway, I wasn't there long, and there was a detective's car come into the parking lot. I could tell it was a detective. And I kind of looked at him and waved at him and pointed at myself and nodded my head, let him know I was the one he was looking for. Evidently, it got reported, and he didn't find nobody at the scene. Well, about then, the folks showed up. Yeah, stepdad I had at that time, he could drive. He had a big old Ford truck he called Big Blue with a big old huge engine in it. He grew up racing and building race cars. Yeah, he could drive a lot better than I could. He made a pretty lengthy trip in a very short time around curves just as curvy as what I'd been down. I'm pretty good at it myself now. Probably still ain't as good as he was. Anyhow, they showed us. Well, I rode with them to the police station, and apparently it done got around because when I walked in, to the right was the radio dispatch room, and it was a half wall with half glass going up the rest of the way. And there's two young ladies in there, and one of them scrunched up closer to the radios. The other one quickly left the room. They thought they was seeing a ghost. I got to talk with a state trooper out front of the courthouse there. Police station was in the courthouse. And he asked me, he says, were you drinking? I said, no, sir. I just got too tired to drive and tried to drive anyway. He said, okay. And he said, you were wearing your seatbelt? No, sir. He took a step back and said, son, I've been on the force for 13 years and seen people wear their seatbelts and not survive a crash like that. You're telling me you weren't wearing yours? Yes, sir. He took another step back. He thought he was seeing a ghost. I shouldn't have been alive. I should have been thrown out the windshield and hit that pole. Everything lined up just right. I should have hit that pole and been between it and the car when it hit the second time. Now, I don't travel the speed limit, and usually, with that car being what it was, when my foot fell down on the gas, if I wasn't doing between 70 and 90, I'd be surprised. But like I said, that power pole was replaced the following Monday before lunch. That's how messed up it was. Y'all know how power companies are about replacing them poles. If it ain't too bad, they'll just leave it. If it's a little worse than that, they might get around to it in a week or two. They had it replaced the following Monday. You could look up, it looked like a straw that had been pressed down. It had 5 chunks sticking around it all the way around it. That must have been where I hit the first time. Because I flew. The car was all jacked up. Roller coaster hood. Battery was sitting in the front right when it was actually in the back right where it sat. Torn loose from the battery cables. Snapped them battery cables. The steering rods, 2-inch steel rods up underneath, snapped in two like toothpicks. Guy at the junkyard told me about that. Sometime later, I remembered what happened on my way to the windshield. And the highest point of my forehead lined up exactly with the spiderweb, center of the spiderweb crack on the windshield. And but I never hit. But after some time, I remembered looking off into space, and I saw this familiar little bitty pinpointed blue light. In the next blink of an eye, not even, that blue light come through the windshield, wrapped around my head and shoved me back and down at the same time, defying the laws of physics. And I walked out of that crash with a severely bruised right shoulder and right knee. Walked away. God sent an angel to save my stupid butt that night. Folks, that's just one of many events in my life where I should have been dead. Whether out of my stupidity or somebody else's, that's just one of many. And, today I sit here disabled, all jacked up, can't do a whole lot. Pain is tolerable. Like I told one young lady, God ain't putting nothing on me no more than what I can endure. And for some reason he has for me to endure that. He's kept me around because he's had things for me to do. I ain't sad about it, I ain't mad about it. It's how God would have me to be. Like my daddy told me when I told him that God could take all that away from him and everything, he just smiled at me and said, sometimes God's got to slow you down so you can do what it is that he has for you to do. Well, having become disabled myself, I've discovered that is true. And I have become what some of you out there know that I am. And I could sit here and talk for the next week of things that God has done for me, things he's brought me through, and then explain to you why he had me to go through those things. So there's nothing done that God hadn't already planned. And he knew it was going to happen the moment he created all this, because he created it from beginning to end and everything in between. It's always a reason and a purpose. And it's no shock to God because he wrote the book. So there's a reason and a purpose for it. And I'm thankful for it. Now, the first time I died, I'd have been most thankful if it had just kept me there. But man, let me tell you what, waking up back here, I cried like a baby.
I'm glad he brought you back.
Well, you're part of the reason why he brought me back. But it was also to show somebody else who is a murderess, whom served God and who didn't. And it wasn't her. So, she didn't succeed that time. She's still out there somewhere, but God will take care of that. But being a warrior of and for God, this is the mission he got me on. This is the mission I'll do. This is the condition he'd have me do it. So this is the condition in which I'll do it. And I'll be thankful for it. Because I've come to higher levels of understanding through it all. I'm highly blessed because he's put me through a ringer. And he did it because he built me like a tank. He built me for that very purpose. He built me to be able to endure. So I'm highly blessed. Not because he put me through all that, but because of all he taught me through all of that. The levels of understanding that he brought me to through all of that. Making me able to be what some of you have found me to be. So, I have many pleasures and joys in the form of other people that I get to watch bloom because I've been able to encourage them. And I encourage them, and God put something on my brain to speak out, and I speak it, and then they bloom, and I get to watch them bloom. I'm not knowledgeable nor wise, but I gain wisdom through his teaching me and through things that he has for me to speak to others. I'm highly thankful. I'm highly blessed. I'm highly favored. A lot of people would look at that as Job's friends looked at him. Why don't you curse God and die? Why? God's doing some of the best things through me that I've ever seen. Things that I'm sure not many would understand. But I do. Piggy loves you.